There is no doubt in my mind that gaming is my absolute favorite hobby.
Okay, I'll do it.
Yes, I love watching movies, TV shows and reading, but gaming will always be my favorite medium. Whether it's playing an acrobatic plumber, a man looking for his wife in a ghost town, or some bros who just want to get some chicken. But what if I told you not only did a freaking sweet game drop this year, but one that dropped out of nowhere, with no marketing or anything whatsoever? You would think I was insane, but it did happen, and the game is called Hyper Rush. The newest game from Tango Gameworks, a subsidiary studio from Bethesda. They're mostly known for making the excellent Evil Within games. Like seriously, these games are so good, you should really play them. And I guess after making several horror games, Tango just want to try something different. Instead of making a horror game, they made a hack and slash platformer. But did I manage to make it good? Well, spoiler warning, yes they fucking did. But I'm gonna explain it in the video, so just wait. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's go!
The game opens up with our main character Chai being in an office just vibing and having a good time when this robot lady calls him for the next line. Chai is here to join the Armstrong program so he can get a new robotic arm to achieve his dream of becoming a rock star. And with absolutely no regulations, he's just sent off the facility. Like, it's no background check, just like, yeah, you want to be a rock star? Yep. And it's like, oh, okay, fuck it, just go. And he's off to the facility to get this new robotic arm with this absolutely gorgeous 2D animation. Like seriously, this looks amazing. The colors are so great and the animation is so smooth with some great angles to really show off this place. They let him into the program and send him off to the doctor's table to give him this new arm. Not before having to remove his clothes and MP3 player to, put them aside. We also cut to some people on the top that run the facility. The guy who owns the facility named Kale complains about how the program has lowered the standard so much that pretty much anyone can get in. Finding Chai's MP3 player, he throws it down and coincidentally it lands beside Chai. The chamber closes, but after that the alarm goes off and Chai is let out of the chamber again. He doesn't really think too much about it, he's just like, whatever, and tries to get out of the facility. Walking around for a bit, Chai finally finds his clothes and shoes. And reaching the door, Chai is finally out, but not long after some robots start attacking him because he's defect. But of course Chai is just like, nah, I'm not gonna have any of that, and start beating up the robot. When it comes to the combat, it's really good. Chai has a very nice way to him, giving his swings a lot more of an impact. There's both light attacks and heavy attacks that can be both performed on the ground or in the air. You can also perform a lot of different combos, which feels super satisfying to pull off. If you played any hack and slash game, this shouldn't be something new to you, mostly comparable to the Devil May Cry series. But what is unique is that sometimes you will have these quick time events during combat against certain enemies. When you have damaged them enough, they will then enter a heat mode and have you dodge or block their upcoming attacks, and doing it successfully will land you a final hit to kill them off for good. I must say though, this game also looks absolutely fantastic. Not only does the colors pop out, but the environment is full of cool details and the art style stays so strong. Unfortunately my footage is in 720p, so don't do the game completely full justice, but trust me, this game looks absolutely amazing. The animations are really fantastic too, and this game has so many good expressions. Both the 2D and 3D looks marvelous, and the transition between them are so seamless. Come to think of it, this game reminds me a lot of Ratchet & Clank. Not only collectibles, which you do collect, which is about these gears, but also a lot of the level structures. But also some of the level structures, plus you're fighting against robots, and both does deal with the theme of consumerism. Getting back to the story, Chai is wanted by everyone in the facility since he is a defect, and to say it simply, defects they're not supposed to live, but rather be killed. After a while he stumbles upon a cat who runs away from some robots, which Chai also beats up, and from a nearby tower he also hears a voice that tries to speak to him. And climbing up to the room where the voice came from, he finds out that the cat can talk. Not actually talk, but rather that someone is talking through the cat. The person talking through the cat is telling Chai that they want to help him escape, but Chai is kind of the person that prefers working alone. But by touching the cat, both him and it starts to get in connection with his beat from the MP3 player, and wants the cat to be with him and let her help him too, just not to run off with the cat. Now getting through a lot of hazards, like more robots, some roadblocks, some glass and all that. Chai comes to a dark room with no one in sight, thinking that everything is safe and sound, but as we know in games, this is usually a bad sign that something to come. One of the bosses of the facility, Rekka, finds him and plans to destroy him.
good?
I like how they taste.
Oh, that's bad.
This is the first boss in the game, and it is really awesome. For being a first boss, he's not really easy and pretty fast with his attacks. You have to attack its hands to make it lose health, and it does have multiple phases, such as getting a rocket launchers on its shoulders, and then entering a super serious mode, which makes him even harder. Overall, a great first boss. And by doing enough damage to the robot, he shuts down, but not before it starts to count down to self-destruct. Chai enters the supposed person hideout but gets trapped by its rope trap. We then revealed the person was a woman named Peppermint, and she let him go, well, with some scratches. The cat is a pet named 808, who I must say is absolutely adorable, like seriously dude. So Peppermint explained to Chai she needs Chai's help to gain access to Rekka's office to find more information on this Spectra program. And she doesn't know what it does, but she's very sure it can't be any good. Rekka is the head of the production part of the facility, making sure the robots are of quality and there's no defects, which is why she really wants to kill Chai. Peppermint suggests taking the stealthy route is the best for Chai, but unfortunately he is not really good at stealth and everyone knows he is in the facility. Whoops. I think it's a good time than ever to mention, but the soundtrack in this game is really bumping. Like, I pretty much love every single track in this game. I also love how different a lot of these versions of the tracks can be in these stages. Like when you're just platforming, the music is pretty bumping but more quiet. But when you encounter enemies, the track adds more instruments and gets a lot more intense. But the coolest part about the music is how everything goes in beat with it. The environmental hazards, objects and more goes into the beat of the music in the background. Like, look at these rocks! Even they are jamming to the music. Even Chai's actions gives off some form of music, like for example hitting an enemy with his guitar gives off this guitar riff. Or even using grappling hook makes his drum sounds. The game is full of details like this, and the rhythm really does play a big part in this game. Even finding enemies to the rhythm in the background makes you do more damage and gain a better overall score. Also getting those rhythms perfectly is super satisfying. You just feel so much more powerful doing so. So getting back to the story, Chai finally arrives at Rekka's office, and now it's time to fight against Rekka, and it's another pretty great fight. Rekka has a lot of different attacks that are pretty fast, so you have to dodge quickly to not take any damage. Even gaining electricity she will use against you, so you have to grapple on the roof to avoid her attacks. And even using some big steel pipes, and no, you can't do like Yakuza 0 blocking like here, that does not work. She's yet another great fight and a really cool character as well. Beating her not only makes her explode, but gives off the first key. It is sort of like chip, and with it Peppermint can access her computer and find more information about this Spectra program. But an alarm turns on and Chai with his amazing choice skills turns off the whole system. But it goes back on, but not before a Discord-esque calls appears with the bosses of the facility. And Chai with his big mouth I'm sorry, just think about fucking Big Mouth the show. It tells them that Peppermint is helping him, and by saying it, Peppermint clicks off the call right away. And back in the hideout, Peppermint yells at Chai for obviously telling Kale and the others that she was working with Chai.
No, you're not acting alone.
And...
Oh, secrecy is blown. I have to rethink my whole plan.
there was a plan?
But by finding the information on Rekka's data, they found out more about Spectra, that it's in some form of a mind control that will control other people's minds. They're not sure what Kale is planning to do with it, but it certainly cannot be good. But Chai doesn't want anything to do with this, so he decides to try to leave.
But I have no idea how to get off this island and feel a little responsible for messing things up.
Great.
And to shut down the program, they will need to collect all the 6 keys. They have the first one, but they just need to get the last 5 of them from the other bosses. And the next boss we're gonna find is Sansu, and his part of the facility takes place underground. He is the head of the testing facility, coming up with designs and new ideas for the robots and such. Sansu is a really fun antagonist. I also love how he does so much JoJo pose. He is basically just a JoJo reference, but honestly, I kinda love it. Despite being the brains when it comes to developing the robots and such, he is not really good at not overflowing the budget.
No more budget approvals until this defect fiasco is done with. Full stop.
You dare interrupt my creative process, Roper? The gears are turning in my mind with passion.
I don't care about passion. I care about profit.
I really like the look of these levels. They are very colorful and the lava looks so pretty, it's almost hypnotizing. And with this level, I'm again getting a lot of Ratchet & Clank 1 vibes like... So at some point in the level, Chai meets up on this big green robot dude and trying to attack it, but it does nothing. No matter what it does, the robot will not take any damage. So after a while he decides, you know what, let me just have a normal talk with it, maybe it will be
I've been looking for you.
Holy crap!
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to frighten you, little guy.
So this is Macron, an ex-employee of the company who quit right after the old owner mysteriously disappeared and the new one, Kale, who took over. Alongside him he has a robot buddy named CMNM or Cinnamon. As Macron explains, the company is not the same as it used to be. It used to be about helping people and finding solutions to make their lives much better. But now it's all about selling product. Consumerism at its finest, and yeah, this is just like Ratchet & Clank, oh my god. Having watched and even hacked the systems of Sanso earlier in the level, he wants to help them, but in a more non-violent way. But realizing that with his muscles he can help out Chai, so now Macron and Cinnamon had joined the team. The next level has Chai going back to the green robot and trying to fight it again, but with Macron's help he destroys its shield and Chai managed to beat it. You can summon Macron at any time to actually help you against these robots, not only these, but just in combat in general. He can stun lock them and do extra damage, but also help you against obstacles such as these walls or these stones. I did also forget to mention that Peppermint can also be summoned in battles, and she is helpful to destroying these blue shields or to distract the robots and doing more damage. You can summon them at any time, but they do have a cooldown, but you can also buy some upgrades in the shop that can make your cooldown slower or give them some extra abilities. Chai ends up in this virtual reality program which is really expensive, and by destroying the eye and destroying the program basically, he makes the budget decrease a lot. So the gang gets the idea to make Sanso spend as much as possible, because if the budget reaches 0, he cannot do anything more, he can't spawn any robots or anything like that. Sanso does not care about the budget at all, as I said earlier, and just throws everything at you, like these super expensive VR simulation programs or throwing more robots or obstacles. There is however no boss fight in this level, surprisingly. Instead it just throws a lot of enemies at you, but by the end Sanso does have one last ass up his sleeve. A huge robot that he's been working on, but unfortunately for him...
Defunded?
So there was going to be a boss fight, but he can't now because there's no budget left, which I find really funny. Chai knocks him out and receives the second key, but not long after, Kale and another one of the bosses arrive at the scene. I really love how they actually give him a bit time to have a group meeting. It's just kind of stupid, but it's just really funny. With Chai's quick thinking, the team gets out of the room, but Chai still has to escape from the facility. I really love these rail sections. Dodging upcoming obstacles with high speed is really fun to me. At the end of the level though, Chai gets captured by this very lovely lady and gets knocked out. And he ends up back at the hideout? But I thought he got captured, didn't he? I guess not. Huh. Getting back to the sofa, something feels off. They tell him to snap out of it and start snapping their fingers. And even 808 does this really weird walk which looks really unnatural. But it turns out Chai is just dreaming. So yeah, makes sense. And he did get captured by Corsica. Chai tries to explain why the Spectre program is dangerous, but Corsica, no matter what, she won't listen and just leaves the room. Our favorite robotic cat comes to rescue us and Chai successfully escapes. And if it wasn't obvious, the next box we're dealing with is Corsica, and who complains about the coffee machine a lot.
Corsica here. Well, we do have more pressing matters. Might there be anyone here who knows how to fix the coffee machine? It's only giving out decaf, and with this amount of documentation I need to get through... What? Firmware update? Why does the coffee machine need a firmware?
She is the head of security, and as such the levels take place around this big tower. Now I want to say this, while I do like these levels right here, I do think they're probably my least favorites in the game. I think it's just visually, I don't think it looks as interesting as the others, and I think the level design can be a bit samey. But we do also get a pretty cool train section where you have to destroy these breakers.
Lift is running a bit late.
I'm sure they'll be here. Huh.
Chai finally reaches the Korsica's office through the air vents, and finding out she has been reading about Spectra on her computer, which she should not have been able to do, since she is the only boss who doesn't have access to the Spectra program and can't really read about it. Now Chai has two choices. Either he can go in nicely and talk to her, or he can... And getting pretty pissed off because, well, who wouldn't be getting an air duct plate on her head? I mean, I would have been pretty pissed too. She of course wants to kick Chai's ass. And this fight is very different from the others. This time you're not attacking her, but rather just parrying and dodging her attacks. It's a pretty cool fight, and I love the dialogue between Chai and Korsica. It's really funny.
Hey, you chose to fight. Wait, you like puns too?
What? No. Whatever. Is that a floating cat? Ugh, nothing about you even makes sense.
Admit it, you're enjoying this.
You cocky loser!
After successfully parrying her enough though, she faints. But unlike the other bosses, she doesn't have a physical key, but she does have the password remembered in her head, so Chai has to take her with him alongside, giving her a bit of a headache.
Her personal lift. I'll reroute it to the hideout.
Starting the subway and driving into the hideout, Korsica wakes up and is upset Chai kidnapped her, as she doesn't need his help. But Kale is on the speaker and finds out Korsica tried to find information on Spectra. Also, she is fired, so that, you know, that kinda sucks. And now he has a big robot that blasts them off the train, but with Chai's quick thinking, they manage to jump off and luckily survive. They both end up back at the hideout, with Korsica feeling dumb for ever trusting Kale. And because Chai also saved their lives, she decides to join the team. I think it's time to talk more about Korsica because I absolutely love her. She is the best character in the game without a doubt. I love her design, I love her personality, and she's just really funny.
This right here is my favorite thing, ever.
So now we have an absolutely full team and only 3 of the keys left to collect. And the next level takes place around the museum and a concert with Mimosa being the next boss. She is responsible for the party committee, I guess? I'm not really sure about that one, honestly. But anyways, she's gonna hold the concert, but the main gate is locked up, so Chai has to find a way around the museum to reach the concert. Now I do want to say this, I actually think this might be my favorite level in the entire game. I've always been a big fan of going to museums in real life and museum settings in games, so this is definitely right up my alley. It has a lot of great level design and the colors pop a lot here. We also get introduced to a new enemy type who has a shield of fire, which you can spawn in Korsica in battle to deal with. She can blow out enemies' fires, she can also put out fires from these walls and stun enemies in combat. And activate these machines so these platforms can activate for a small period of time. But getting back to level, we see Peppermint getting annoyed by the information the museum spouts out, calling it out and saying it's not really what happened, just saying that it's blatantly a lie. At the end of the level, the gang ends up in this room with an attraction about Kale and basically spewing some wrong information according to Peppermint, and she is really not happy about that. Being very frustrated, but why does it matter so much to her? Well, that's because Esmeralda is her mother, which also means that Kale is also her brother. She didn't want to tell them in fear of them not trusting her, but the gang is like, dude, we know your brother is a dickhead, but we know you're not. You're chill, so don't worry. So they have like a nice little moment, so they get out of the room and it's now time to enter the next stage where the concert is at. He enters the dressing room Mimosa was at earlier, but she doesn't seem to be there, she's already at the stage. Having some guards outside of his room, Chai tries to think of something quickly he can do to avoid being spotted, and then he gets an ever so brilliant idea.
There he is! Get him on stage now!
God, I absolutely love this costume. It is so stupid, but it's so cute. But I hate how he only wears it for like 1 minute. It is so sad. Well, anyways, Chai finally enters the stage in costume and confusing Mimosa at first, thinking he's just some dancer.
Give us your Spectra password.
And her fight is also really cool. I really love the colors and the look of the stage. If you don't manage to dodge her attacks, she will bit slap you to hell, and it hurts a lot. And it even goes in the sync of the music, it's really cool.
This, Mimosa.
Winning the fight sends her flying up in the air, exploding with fireworks, giving the people one hell of a show. But the gang can't be there forever, obviously, so they turn off the power and run back to their hideout. And shortly after, Kale arrives at the scene trying to find them.
Shut the campus down.
Which section, sir?
All of them!
I swear, this scene has to be a reference to Leon where he screams everyone. Like, it's so similar.
All of them!
Back at the hideout now having 4 keys, try to plan out where Kale and the next box will be. But it turns out they forgot to put Corsica out of the company emails, so she still gets emails from them explaining updates and their whereabouts. Both Kale and the other boss is going to be in the Tower of Voltec, but they're not sure how to get there. And that is until Chai comes with a brilliant idea of being shot by a cannon. It is really dangerous, it's pretty stupid, but it just might work. So getting to the platform of the cannon, Chai gets spotted by some robots and has to kill them off. Not only that, but the cannon has to be retorted to its position. The cannon does recenter and Chai gets shot out of the cannon, but the plan doesn't go quite as perfect as it should have been. He hits the blimp in a way, but it's still going towards the tower, just not on the same floor, and crashes to the cafeteria.
Well, I'm in. I hope no one noticed.
Even the chef of the cafeteria ain't having none of that, and this time the boss is Rockford, who deals with all the finances and the money. There was a cutscene showing him and Kale early discussing Chai and having taken 4 of the keys. And during it he mentioned how Kale should not make him mad. I'm not sure what it means, maybe he will turn into Hulk, who knows.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This level is pretty fantastic. I love the look of this and it's so big. And there's also like this huge statue of Kale, which just shows how huge his ego must be. But overall, it's a pretty fantastic level, I must say so. In getting through the levels, Chai is finally at the room before the boss. But getting into the office, Rockford, he is just sitting there, menacingly. Chai, being a hothead, demands him to give him the 5th key, or else, you know, beat him up like the other bosses. But he is not going down and has a trick up his sleeve.
Hey guys.
Win. Confidence now. Kid.
And this is by far not only the most intimidating boss, but also the hardest. He doesn't really get stunned often and his attacks are really fast and cover a good chunk of the area. Also, the music is a remix of Beethoven's Symphony No. 5 and I think that's actually pretty kick-ass. Like I said earlier, it's the toughest one by far, but it's also probably my favorite one. I like how even the last stage, just like in the Golden Vault, I like how even at the end, no matter what, Rockford won't give up, but...
Quarter 3 earnings delivered. Please watch out for falling profits.
And now they have the 5th key and now it's only one left, which is the one Kale has. But before going to the next level, the game gives you one of those. This will be pretty tough, so you better be prepared warnings. I mean, the gang doesn't even go back to the hideout, but rather stay in the vault. So you know it's super serious. The gang is in the elevator and ready to get into Kale's office and put him out for good. But upon arriving, Kale is not there, but instead Peppermint's mom? And she locks them in a red force field, and what the hell is going on? And she's being mind controlled by Spectra. controlled by her own son. That's really messed up. Kale explains the reason he created Spectre was to sell more products easier, being tired of customers having so many questions and making it hard to sell his products, so he wants to mind control the consumers so he can sell the products easier. He does state that it's for the good, you know, but of course we know it's obviously wrong. Like, this is not the right thing to do. Chai tries to break the force field, but to no use, absolutely nothing. And this is actually the first time we see Chai not knowing what to do.
Stealing my technology and then calling yourself a rock star? For doing what exactly?
I don't know what to do.
Throughout this whole game, no matter what, he always had a plan and a flow on how to solve the problems, but now he doesn't have one. He doesn't know what to do. It's like the first time we see this in the game. But Cinnamon does luckily point out that the field is a sound barrier, so if he makes enough sound, he could break it. And we get a little sequence where he's listening to the beat and hearing these motivational quotes from his friends to motivate him to break free the barrier. My favorite one is from Cinnamon though. He's just like,
I for one, Mr. Chai, like your bets.
Good enough.
And by creating the beat, he pushes the rhythm correctly and breaks everyone out. And now it's finally time to go out to Kale and kick his butt, to say the least.
Finally, some peace and quiet. Someone get me a cortado.
Coffee machine's only putting out decaf, sir.
What?
Kale runs away and blocks the path, but that is nothing that Chai and the gang can't deal with. I really love the song that's playing here, and I do think it fits the level super well, especially considering that it's a final level. He is of course using it to try to kill you with his massive lasers and, you know, robotic arms. And at some point the robot's arm gets cut off and Cinnamon gets the bright idea to do something. He is apparently compatible with a giant arm. I have no idea how it is, but apparently is. So the others help him aim for the robot using the laser. And Cinnamon just fucking smokes him. Like, dude, damn. He's just like, no, I ain't having this shit. Just fucking blast him to smithereens. It is so fucking cool. He does get pretty damaged though, but luckily he's fine. And now finally we can confront Kale without any of his robots or anything like that. It's just him now, nothing else. Finally enter a room where not only Kale is there but the program Spectre. It is time for the final showdown, the final boss. But the gang gets captured behind the shield again, but this time outside of Chai and 808. Kale stops the MP3 player and makes him being controlled by Spectra, basically being completely mindless and just throwing him in the corner. And it seems like all hope is lost, but 808 is not having that shit and starts attacking Kai. And it takes him head on. And we even get to play as him, and oh my god, this is so adorable. Like the way he runs and the angry expression, oh my god, he's so cute! This is so cool! And with 808 attacking Kyle enough times, he turns off the device on his arm and Chai gets his conscience back. Then Kale will also take this fight up on the top of the roof. And I gotta say, the atmosphere is really awesome here. The dark black clouds with the lightning in the background and the music, while being upbeat and being more intense, it works so well. The fight itself is also pretty sick, having multiple phases and doing a lot of damage. His suit is also super cool, the black and red really pops out. And I gotta say, it was a pretty fantastic final boss. And the last phase of the boss has Chai blocking his attacks, using the rest of the gang to beat the absolute fucking shit out of him.
This is just too much work.
And finally, having gotten the last key, Peppermint turns off Spectra and it's finally over. Peppermint's mother being free from Spectra thanks the gang for saving her, even giving Chai a new job as an ambassador, which is pretty impressive, even though he won't get paid. Guys, I think we might have caught the wrong bad guy. And we do end the game with another gorgeous 2D cutscene. Seriously, this looks so fucking good. I would suck someone off just to get a full show. We get to see all the characters doing great things, like Peppermint fixing her old mom's car, Macaron fixing up Cinnamon, and Corsica enjoying her place as the head of security again. There is absolutely no heterosexual explanation to this. and Chai is finally trying to learn the guitar. Now while this is the end of the main game, it's still not over. Apparently Spectra is not completely destroyed and there's still signals out there, and of course it's up to Chai to find them and destroy them for good. Throughout the levels there have been a secret door in 8 of them. Before they couldn't be accessed, but now they can. Inside each room is a different challenge that you must beat to beat the room. And I'm just gonna say this right now, these challenges, they fucking stink. I really hated several of these, especially ones that required you to kill an enemy using a certain move as a finisher. I spent hours on some of this, and I'm not even joking a little bit. I could just feel my controller was about to break at some points. But I did manage to get all the 8 doors, and now I can finally... What? There's more? There's more? There can't be. You can't do this to me. Do you know how much I sacrificed? A Spectra room, huh? Alright. Ah, of course, 8 other rooms. Yay to me. So 4 of these weren't that bad, but the other 4, god, they were so awful. This is without a doubt the worst part of the game, and I did not have a good time doing this. But after spending several hours on them, I did finally beat them. And we finally get to enter the final room. Entering it, there's nothing to see, just an empty room with a Spectre controller there. But out of nowhere, a Kale hologram appears, or a backup copy of Kale. He always had a backup plan in case something went wrong, and Chai has been fun enough helping him throughout this journey. By completing these doors, he made the backup Spectre being able to reactivate again. But we're not going to stop there. We are going to defeat it once and for all, even if it means we have to fight Kale once.
A clean floor is a healthy floor.
And what type of reward do you get to finally beating the Spectra 100% everything? You get an item that will make you able to see the enemy's health bar. Fuck you. Another thing you can also unlock after beating the main game is the tower challenge. You have to try and survive as long as possible and try to reach the floor 60. If the clock reaches 0, it's over, so you have to try and beat the enemies as fast as possible. You do get some extra time for each floor you beat, and for every 5th floor you can talk to Korska to enter the shop and actually use your saved time to buy upgrades or health and such. It's pretty cool using your time as a sort of payment. Unfortunately, I did not get far into this at all. I just kind of gave up. It's very stressful when you have to fight the bosses as well, so yeah, I just decided not to beat this challenge. And lastly, we got the coolest thing, the costumes. I love costumes in games. They are by far the best unlockable you can have in them, and I'm so glad to say that this game's costumes absolutely rock. Most of them you can buy from Cinnamon, but some of them you have to beat a certain challenge to get them. There was this other one for Korsica which I really wanted because it was really cool, and I want to unlock it, but to get it you will have to get an S rank on the tower, which means you have to beat all the floors too. Yeah, I'm good. But I did unlock a few for Peppermint and for 808, who looks absolutely adorable in this costume. But I really want to unlock this Peppermint outfit for it because, oh, it looks so precious. It is so cute. But I hope you all enjoyed watching this video, and I would definitely give my highest recommendation in this game. It's easy to become in my top 10. So thank you all for watching, and I hope I can release the next video a bit quicker, but I can't really promise anything. Anyways, you all have a great day.
Well, anyway, crisis averted. Now to make sure this never happens again.